Who can tell me which part of the human body can enlarge 100 times? Miss.
I'm sure I don't know. And you've no right to ask me such a question in a mixed class.
I was referring to the pupil of your eye, young lady. And I think I should tell you, you're in for a terrible disappointment.
The following program contains material that may be offensive to some viewers.
And that's how I discovered the secret. The answer was there all the time.
And those who have heard of it dare not speak its name.
Moon starburst, -16.
Our love powered by the energy of the sun. How romantic.
Well, come on. You're a male. It's just the way you wired.
Nothing to be ashamed of, not when females are willing.
Hello, Internet. Well, it's been a while since I said that. Last time, I blundered through the apparently infinite minefield of transgender politics.
They're very complex issues.
And then finally found the answer to all the puzzling things that had been bothering me back in 2018. Including whether or not I'm trans. And now, I can finally reveal what that answer is. Yay! But first, I've got to cover a few background basics, and just to make sure we're all on the same page.
Man, you owe me a free dinner after this one.
Once again, if you're young enough to find kissing gross, this is not a video for you. It's not actually about space, it's about stuff grown-ups do. And it gets into pretty disturbing territory, so please switch it off and go watch something else.
I'm sorry, but this is not the time and place for children. I must ask you to leave.
I mean it this time. I do too.
Close your eyes, son! Close your eyes!
Everyone else? Yep, I'm talking about your favorite topic again.
Sex?
But because I'm going to delve into some especially strange corners of the sexual universe, I need to put in an extra disclaimer here that this video is intended to be educational. And just like earlier videos, I'll use a few clips from cartoons mixed in with other stuff. That might seem kind of inappropriate this time, considering the subject matter, but there is a reason.
Have courage, my friend.
Remember our friend the stellar sex drive? You know, this star that represents the libido of a person? If you don't, then either you're a cheater who has used a level skip, or you've just been waiting too long for me to shut up and get to the point. Either way, you should probably go back to episode 1 and review Gender Astronomy 101, because this episode is the reason I came up with all those dorky space metaphors in the first place. That and I just like space.
Moon starburst, -16.
Roger, control. I'm ready.
Here's a new star I prepared earlier. It's a male star system. Now just to be clear, this whole thing represents a person, right? It's an analogy. For convenience, let's assume this male star system's orientation is 100% heterosexual. It goes for space chicks, exclusively. Possibly blue ones. I don't know why they're always blue, it's just a thing. Anyway, let's call this star Alpha Libido. The inhabitants of these planets like to hop in their X-Wings and Y-Wings and boldly come in for landings on citizens of friendly female star systems. Or possibly under the citizens, or side to side, or from behind. You know, it's creative, but don't believe everything you see in porn. But wait, this star is not alone. Is that another star? Could this be a binary system?
And that one? A binary star.
That's right. Alpha Libido has a companion star.
Look at that. Binary system. That's a pair of stars orbiting around each other.
Is this the feminine essence? Does it explode in some kind of supernova and create the egg cracking that makes you realize that you're trans?
What in tarnation?
Sort of, in a manner of speaking. But not in a polite and dignified fashion. Not in a purely spiritual, true inner self, airy-fairy sort of way.
I'm on a spiritual quest.
Nope. That's not where I'm going with this.
You know what I like to do sometimes when it's really late?
Seatbelt warning. Brace for impact. In fact, you might want to stay in the brace position for the rest of this video. You see, this little star here, sextronomers call this Alpha Gamma Paraphilia, or AGP for short. Oh, I think I just heard, yeah, the transgender activist brains just broke. Am I really taking things in this direction? Can I be serious?
Is it a nutcase? There's nothing to talk about. You're delusional.
So what is this so-called AGP star?
So what is it? This is the answer to all the riddles.
This little treasure, which I hold before you, is so mysterious. No one has even heard of it.
What in God's name are you talking about?
And those who have heard of it dare not speak its name.
What's its name?
Oh, I dare not speak it.
Well, it orbits the main sexual furnace of our male star system. It's small, but it's incredibly hot and volatile. It puts out weird radiation. And it didn't just turn up from nowhere. It didn't just wander in when this sexual star system was 17 and looked at the wrong kind of porn on the internet. At least I doubt it. No, it's been here for a lot longer than that. Maybe the inhabitants can see it clear and bright in their sky. Or maybe they didn't notice it because its orbit took it so far from the main sun. But it formed at the same time as the rest of the system. It's been hanging around ever since. And its gravity has been pulling on everything for years, tucking all the planet's orbits gradually out of shape. A little bit more, every month, every year. Sextronomers have a name for stars like this. They call them Paraphilias. Sounds kind of makes you want to go and have a shower, doesn't it? But if you wash off the stigma patina, the word itself just means other love, meaning a sexual attraction to something alternative. Something or someone that isn't your standard adult male human, adult female human, or both.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, there's a giant woman outside.
Oh, wow! Please don't stick me in your giant vagina! Dude, what the fuck?
A word with a similar meaning nowadays is fetish. Now, technically, a fetish only involves body parts or objects, like having a sexual thing for shoes. But with the internet and casual conversation and the whole Rule 34 thing, the word has kind of worn thin through overuse. It's come to mean pretty much anything you're kinda into now and then, even really minor stuff like dreadlocks or glasses or Winnie the Pooh tattoos.
Where are you hiding?
Thought she was going to crush me with her giant vagina. Okay, what does your internet history look like?
But no. When I say fetish or paraphilia in these videos, I don't mean some trivial kink or taste or game. I mean a weird erotic obsession that has dominated your life. That strange place your mind always goes when it gets the chance. The thing that can always reliably turn you on and get you off, even when nothing else works. Maybe the only thing. And maybe it's something you wish you didn't find sexy, because it freaks everyone else out.
You don't have anything like that, do you? No weird fetish?
No. I mean, define weird.
If you really get a kick out of scooping up Pooh Bear's poo from the toilet and eating it for lunch, yeah, that is very probably a paraphilia. You primates are looking kind of grossed out right now. The bonobos, they had no problem with this. They got no boundaries.
Is this freaking you out?
But if you're disgusted or revolted by a particular fetish, well, I'm here to tell you, Sonny Jim, that that's completely fine. By definition, a paraphilia is a sexual interest in something that most people don't find sexy at all. Of course it's going to make you want to throw up. And by the way, there is a fetish for that too.
Give me a bucket.
But, on the other hand, just because something disgusts you doesn't automatically make it wrong. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to cause any actual trouble, apart from embarrassment if people find out. Most people used to agree that being gay was disgusting, and some people still feel that way.
Rainbows. In those days, there was tremendous prejudice.
And yet, we eventually decided, most of us as a society, that homosexuals should be treated like everyone else. So whatever criteria you use to decide which, if any, paraphilias we should tolerate and accept, and which ones we should smack with a stick, don't base it only on your gut instinct. You take it into consideration, sure, but as Carl Sagan once said, I try not to think with my gut.
It is him.
After all, some of these stars are mostly harmless. Even at their most extreme, they just make other people snigger and call you a perv.
I could wear a Freudian slip. I found new places to take your temperature.
Others do put out dangerous radiation.
Hey! These things are dangerous! Anyone using these could really get hurt!
You can still handle these stars, but you've got to wear protective equipment and take a careful approach before you dive into their atmosphere.
All of you bitches out now. This is for calling me Sparky.
And some of the other ones are, they make most people who hear about them want to rinse out their brains with bleach.
Come here. Closer.
But, you know, if you're consenting adults and nobody's getting hurt,
Soft. Touch me soft.
I'm not here to judge what you get up to in the privacy of your own home, or dungeon, or hot air balloon, possibly.
You don't seem to realize the position that you're in.
Actually, it feels pretty good hanging from this rope.
No one should be forced to do anything against their will. No one should ever be hurt.
But there are also some paraphilias that can't be acted on consensually. For example, zoophilia, desire for sex with animals, also known as bestiality.
I think about my cat. A lot.
If you're unlucky enough to have one of these paraphilias,
it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Moon starburst, -9.
Now, it's worth keeping in mind that just having the occasional fantasy about something weird doesn't mean you've got a full-on paraphilia, so don't freak out.
Do not panic.
I used to fantasize about being tied up and ravaged by the entire swim team.
It might help to think of it as the difference between a dessert and a staple food.
Ah, so you're a waffle man.
For example, and here's a little embarrassing fact about me.
Warning.
When I was a teenage cat, I stumbled onto the idea of naughty tentacles.
Way too much information.
And to this day, I find that fantasy to be powerfully sexy. But the thing is, if I had to, I could go without that dessert. For a long time. For the rest of my life if I had to.
Where are my tentacles?
I might be wistful, I might miss it now and then, but I could give it up and leave it in the past with no more than nostalgic regret. But a true paraphilia? That's more like a staple food.
We must feed.
You've always hungered for it, as far back as you can remember having sexual thoughts at all. And it demands regular feeding. You can try to starve it, but sooner or later, you won't be able to resist another meal.
We must feed. We must feed. We must feed.
If that food comparison sounds a bit creepy, well, remember we're talking about the sex drive here. It's too ancient and primal to play nice. Speaking of which, some of you might feel like the language I'm using in this video isn't polite or sex positive enough, while others of you may feel like I'm being far too generous.
I hope you're not planning to dwell on sexual oddities and perversions.
But as an indecisive quantum cat in a box, I'm more what you call sex neutral. Sexuality isn't inherently good or trustworthy, but it's not inherently bad and wrong either. It's beyond good and evil, or maybe below good and evil. What it is a powerful, amoral force, like fire or a volcano.
Libido and the naked flame.
It can keep you warm or burn down your house.
You can follow all the safety measures you like, but there's always a possibility you could get burned.
It is also a powerful and irrational master.
It's short-sighted and selfish, which means it's trouble for society, because society takes the long view and needs everyone to get along. And unfortunately, you can't necessarily trust that just because it feels good, it's okay.
Oh, I feel good.
Because it can lead you down the garden path to disaster. Just ask those guys who are into autoerotic asphyxiation, and that doesn't often end well.
You might as well just hang around.
Well, that's cast rather a gloom over the evening, hasn't it?
Whatever happened to good old-fashioned, run-of-the-mill sex?
Yeah.
People have to complicate it with all this kinky shit.
Yeah. Because everyone is different.
Don't get the juice who we love.
people don't choose what they find arousing. They can only choose what to do about it.
I just know that you're the kind of person who will truly appreciate my strange appetites.
But even if you have a proper, genuine, hardcore paraphilia, or more than one, that doesn't mean it's going to cause you problems. It depends. There's a range, from mild to moderate to extreme. Some paraphilia stars orbit really close in, lighting up your sky and sucking energy off your main sex drive, like some kind of vampire, till you can't even get it up without the paraphilia star's help. You just gotta get those girls to wear those red heels, or it's just not gonna happen. I'm sorry, no lights on downstairs. But other stars hide a long way out, and their gravity's pretty mild. They might be so faint and feeble, you can ignore them most of the time. One way to think about it is how inconvenient, difficult, and upsetting the urge is. If you like the smell of unwashed undies, enough to want a whiff to be part of all your sexy times, that's pretty mild. But if you can't help stealing women's panties every week, and you can't hold down a job because you'd rather stay home for a private panty party every day, yeah, you might have a bad case there. In the old days, all paraphilias were listed as disorders, no matter how mild they were. These days, though, they only rate a mention if they're extreme enough to stuff up your life or hurt other people. But that doesn't mean the mild and moderate cases have vanished. I'd guess they're probably more common than the extreme cases, although that's just my hunch.
Do you receive some form of sexual pleasure from fires?
Yes.
For some reason, paraphilia stars seem to be much more common in male star systems. Don't ask me why. But, it does suggest that there really is some kind of difference, at least sexually, between male brains and female brains.
Oh, come on. You're a male. It's just the way you are wired.
Nothing to be ashamed of, not when females are willing.
What have you got?
Lesbians, straight sex, domination, blondes, interracial, deep throat.
What the?
Chubbies, trannies, cougars, swingers, Asians, gangbang, big tits, small tits, double penetration, triple penetration, squirting.
I'd like some of that.
Midgets, barely legal, gonzo, bukkake, anal. You tell me, we got different girls for different things.
Now, some females do have paraphilias too, especially this one that I can't pronounce.
I like pain.
Yeah, me too. What's that called?
A masochist?
But whether they're the same as male fetishes or not is still kind of mysterious.
She's got a lot of pets and I'm trying to kick the whole bestiality thing.
What's really going to bake your noodle later on is...
Are lesbians more likely to have paraphilias than other women?
Look! She's coming! Carmilla! The spirit of Carmilla!
Don't change the subject.
I can't deal with that now.
However, the people with the most compulsive, hard to manage, and downright life-ruining extreme companion stars are usually male. Guys' fetishes cause the most trouble.
You struggle to resist this nature of ours, but it can't last forever.
What's its name?
Oh, I dare not speak it.
This woman is a masochist. An extreme masochist. She wants me to force the name out of her.
Moon starburst, -7.
Control, if you're reading me, I am okay to go.
By the way, these stars, they tend to come in clusters. If you've got one, you might have more hidden around the place.
Ah, my lunch! Chocolate!
But if you've never learned their names or what to look out for, especially if you got no proper sexuality education as a kid, which, let's face it, is a pretty common problem in the English-speaking West even now, and for you everything about sex is shrouded in silence and shame and mysterious misery and whatever you picked up from porn, which is like learning about astrophysics from the J.J. Abrams version of Star Wars, you might not really understand what your companion stars are or what they mean. You might have one so strange and out there that you reckon you're the only one in the whole world like that, and you must be a lone freak. I sure thought that way.
I'm the only one-eyed alien on this whole planet.
Have you seen the sky?
3 suns?
Bloody hell.
And these stars don't usually go away. No, they might dim for a while and brighten up again, and sometimes they flare up when you don't want them to.
I thought I told you to get rid of this!
But if you've got them, generally speaking, you've got them for life.
One more time.
So where do they come from? Why do they happen? Why do these stars turn up?
I don't know.
Maybe it's just a glitch, a bug in the brain.
Assuming direct control.
Remember what I said a while back about males being kind of a hack, kind of a jury rig?
See how she crossed the dry feeds?
Honestly, the question of what causes paraphilias is a really interesting one. Yay! But I can't fit it into this video without straying way off track.
I can't deal with that now.
However, the reason I've used clips from cartoons is that many people discovered their paraphilias at a young age when they saw something strangely appealing on TV.
It is often with the eye that stimulation begins.
Why did they find it appealing, when it was meant to be funny, scary or gross?
Prepare your bladder for imminent release!
Do you want to stay? Otherwise, wait outside!
Not at all. I am a natural voyeur.
These days, on the internet, some people casually talk about fetishes like they're just a bit of kinky fun. But that's not what the most intense, close-in companion styles are like. Things can get pretty messed up at the extreme disordered end of the scale.
It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse. And it absolutely will not stop. Ever. Until you are dead.
I'm losing control.
A few can be treated with modest success.
The explosives are activated!
And sometimes just lowering your libido in general can make the companion star go dim too. But most of the time, they can take everything the docs can throw at them and come up smiling. Therapy? Good luck with that.
You could fire every dude you've got at her and she'll just smile at you and keep on coming.
Remember how people tried everything to change or cure homosexuality?
Paraphilias are just as stubborn. Sexual attractions just don't budge.
Have you tried everything, sir? It's completely impregnable.
It isn't even dented. Oh, what are we gonna do now?
My God.
Starburst, -5.
So this kind of body type heat can get you into trouble, you reckon?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, big trouble.
Intense paraphilias can drive a person crazy with shame and guilt because they just can't help themselves. I know men say that about sex in general sometimes, and it can sound like they're just making excuses.
So if it's just a sex thing, then you can get it under control, right?
Women can control it. Men sometimes can't because they're controlled by their peckers.
But trust me, some of these fetishes are things that the average guy will try his utmost to quit. I mean, this stuff can wreck marriages.
She would never.
Or much worse.
It's wrecking my life. My life is wrecked.
They'll swear they won't go after shoes anymore. They won't steal the panties anymore. They won't start every day with a chocolate spoonful straight from the dunny.
I will control my urge.
But a couple of months later, a couple of years later, it starts up again. That gravity pulls them right back in. That hunger must be fed.
You all right?
I'm feeling hungry.
You cannot hurt me. You have only delayed the inevitable. Assuming control.
My life is wrecked. Wrecked.
Well, that's your problem. It's got nothing to do with me.
Let's get a bit more specific. Here's a quick summary of a few paraphilias you might or might not have heard of. Coprophilia. Having sexy fun with poo. Or poop if you're American. Or shit if you're anyone. Can be hazardous to your health, obviously, and it doesn't tend to win you friends at parties. But I suppose it can be done consensually, if you can find the right person. Good luck.
You'll need it.
Moving on now.
Unauthorized gate activation.
The galaxy will be ours.
Hello there.
Furries. Not to be confused with zoophilia, this is anthropomorphic animals. You know, Bugs Bunny style, with the animal head and the kind of humanish body. Now, this one doesn't seem to have been noticed much until the rise of the internet. I can't find it in any textbooks pre-2000, although I suppose the ancient Egyptians may have had a thing for it. And unlike zoophilia, this one can be consensually practiced, although you might need a mask or a full body suit.
Nice flight,
Moving on now.
GAMP. This stands for Gynandromorphing Power Rangers? Well, now you know why it gets shortened to GAMP. This is sexual attraction to a gynandromorph, more forthrightly known as a chick with a dick.
She gives me a woody.
A lot of people assume that a guy with GAMP must be gay. I mean, pocket rockets are what males have, not females, right? So if that's what he's into, he must like guys.
You boys are the homosexual supporting cast.
But as a matter of fact, no. This has been studied with science. It turns out that men attracted to sword-wielding Sheilas are straight.
Or at least, similar to straight guys, not to gay guys. Straight-ish.
My sword is cut down greater men than you.
See, apart from her crotch cannon, she looks like a curvy lady. See the boobs, the hips and all that? And that's a shape that straight men like. A gay guy likes his males to have manly shaped bodies.
I don't get it!
Let me try to explain GAMP this way. Suppose you're an ordinary straight bloke, and you see a gorgeous woman with only one breast. You think, whoa, she's hot. But there's something missing. It's a shame. She looks kind of incomplete. Well, as far as I can tell, that's how a guy with GAMP feels when he sees an ordinary attractive woman. She's hot, but there's something missing between her legs. I'd go so far as to argue that a guy with GAMP's ideal partner would be a female X-Wing woman who miraculously has a penis thanks to magic or super science. But since in real life such women basically don't exist, the next best thing is a trans woman.
Oh, so you have a... Wow.
The fact that she happens to be biologically male, it's a technicality.
I don't care.
It's a case of, close enough.
It's just not every day that you meet such a beautiful woman.
Oh, with her very own thumbstick.
Is this a sensitivities bookup?
Moving on now.
Warning. Warning.
This isn't going to be pleasant.
I am required by federal law to inform you that I am a convicted sex offender.
Frotteurism? Frotteurism? I've never been sure how to pronounce that. But what it means is rubbing up against people without their consent. For example, in a crowded train. It's not a good way to make yourself popular.
Hey, watch where you're touching!
This one is serious. It's what we sometimes call an invasive paraphilia, which means it's all about intruding on someone else's personal space. Basically, assaulting them.
Stop that!
It's non-consensual.
Yay! No, that's bad.
It doesn't do it for them unless the victim doesn't want it. Their shock and discomfort is part of the thrill, which makes it a bit of a problem.
I warned you.
Well, it's irresistible.
Then resist.
What's really going to bake your noodle later on is...
Does feeding a harmful fetish with fake material, where no actual person or animal is harmed, help to keep the hunger satiated, or encourage it to go too far?
Help me! Don't touch me, you pervert! That's how to do it. I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know.
Listen, you should be afraid of fire. Fire burns people. It's all in the fuel. If you've got the right fuel, you can play with fire and you won't get burnt.
I wish I had your confidence.
I can't deal with that now.
What a shame. Moving on now.
And then, there's a couple of paraphilias that aren't stars so much as all-consuming black holes and nightmarish terror. Like Necrophilia. Everybody's favorite. You were looking forward to this one, right?
Want to see him? See him? Corpses.
This one is usually illegal too, because it should go without saying that a dead body can't say yes. Necrophilia is probably much rarer than people think it is, but it's also a lot scarier. We're not just talking undertakers with a funny thing going on after dark. People with full-on necrophilia often have serious mental problems. And, well, let's just say they sometimes get hold of the body by making an alive person into a dead one. On the other hand, it is possible that our knowledge of necrophilia has been skewed by the really high-profile sex crimes. It might not reflect what the average necrophile is like, but we really don't know. Incidentally,
Can you swear to keep a secret?
Dan and I did a lot of research on crematoriums and cemeteries.
Don't assume that just because someone has sex with a dead body, that they must be a necrophile.
We visited them all over the Southern California region,
Well, tell him to come around the back to the embalming room.
An employee would always come running up to us and with this frantic look on his face, and he'd say, they're having sex every night with the corpses.
Sometimes people just take what they can get.
Every single place.
Moving on now.
Warning. Warning.
And of course, there's the infamous one beginning with the letter P, which, you know what? I've rewritten the script for this one about 10 times because there's a lot of misconceptions about it, but even the experts aren't listened to when they try to explain it, so who's going to listen to a laycat like me? I'm just going to throw a bunch of text at the screen, and I'll just say one or two really basic things. If you've got the spectacular misfortune to have this particular black hole in your sky, be this guy.
I will take the ring to Mordor.
Don't be this guy.
Please.
And don't turn into one of these guys. Because just to state the bloody obvious, this is one of those sexual attractions that you can't act on without hurting someone. Children can't give informed consent.
But not all pedophiles are child molesters, and not all child molesters are pedophiles. Like with animals and dead bodies, some people just take what they can get.
Oh yeah, quick note, the opposite of the letter P also exists. Attraction to old people. But that one doesn't cause nearly as much alarm. Go make some grannies happy, guys.
Moon starburst -2.
Oof, and with that cheerful subject out of the way,
I feel I now know enough about human affection. I hate it! Especially the part with the beans.
by now you might be feeling like all paraphilias are creepy and disgusting and all those perverts should be locked up for life.
This world is filled with many strange and horrible things.
And a lot of people who have fetishes wish they didn't.
The shame. The awful shame of it.
But it's more complicated than that.
I'm holding your neck so you don't get whiplash.
Sex isn't just about sex. It's wired up to love, affection, art, poetry, all kinds of stuff. And the same can be true of companion stars.
I was given something wonderful, something that changed me forever.
Yes, a feeling of joy and contentment so powerful you'll wonder how you ever lived without it.
Remember, the word paraphilia means other love, not just other lust.
They're beautiful.
Our love powered by the energy of the sun. How romantic.
Take one example. Lots of guys are into feet. Now I reckon feet are just about the unsexiest things ever to walk this green earth. I wince every time I see a photo or a drawing that was obviously done for a foot lover.
Give me a buckus.
But, leaving my gut reaction aside and thinking with my brain, he's not hurting anyone if he admires some pretty toes now and then, and finds some eager lady or lad who enjoys his devotion. Actually, I kind of like the fact that the world contains such variation. He can see the beauty and the erotic electricity in a place that I'm 100% blind to.
There's nothing there.
So beautiful. I had no idea.
You want another example? Go look up the origins of Wonder Woman. You might be surprised.
Now I get it. I can't see you as anything other than a woman. A woman I want to continue to see.
Starburst -1.
Analyze this thing.
I entrust this to you. This holds the dark answer.
So what is it?
Oh, I dare not speak it.
What are you talking about? Why not?
That is classified.
At this point, you might be wondering what in the name of your sanity meter any of this has to do with transgender.
Is it a nutcase?
And back in 2018, I would have assumed that none of this had any relevance whatsoever. We all know trans is about gender identity, not sexuality. And even though I was confused about the sometimes sexy feelings I was having about identifying as a lady cat, I would never in a million years have figured out the truth by myself. It was all Nintendo's fault. Yeah, I'd meant to buy their latest games console during the Boxing Day sales that year.
Your story needs editing.
So I started Googling for book reviews. One of the hits was for a Reddit post on Are Gender Critical? I thought, these must be those dastardly TERFs I've heard about. Might be good for a laugh.
I consider you a traitor.
But then I got intrigued. And then I got worried. Because all the strange and horrible things in trans activism that they were complaining about, all that Space Invader stuff, it didn't seem to make any sense. All progressive lefties like me know trans women are women, so why were some of them allegedly acting like sleazy men? Nah, those TERFs must be making it up, I thought. But I kept browsing, and the receipts kept coming. And they kept mentioning this weird thing they called AGP. So I googled that, and it led me to a blog post by one Julia Serrano, a trans woman activist we've bumped into a couple of times before. She was pissed off because this sextronomer called James Cantor had tweeted about AGP, and Serrano was arguing that he was talking rubbish. Huh, said my young and naive New Year's Day self. I've heard of that Cantor guy. He's a professional. He knows his stuff. I don't think he'd be making shit up. So I looked up the definition of AGP. And that's when my world was shattered, turned inside out, and glued back together again. So if you think all this long, slow build-up and hinting at some great revelation is kind of overdoing it, I'm trying to get across the impact that discovery had on me.
Like it or not, believe it or not, as you will. Your perceptions will not change reality, but simply color it.
I barely slept for 2 weeks. I was too busy doing swears.
Well, that's your problem. It's got nothing to do with me.
Well, I think you might want to reconsider that last part.
What do you mean?
They won't tell you what I've done because they're embarrassed. You wouldn't consider it a crime.
So what is it?
Hope. Hope in this endless, bitter war.
Hold on to your butt.
Moon, starburst, and 0.
Let's take one more look at the Alpha Libido star system. What kind of Paraphilia star does it have?
Do you want to know what it is?
New information, please.
Well, it's no black hole, and that's a relief. It's not the letter P, or Necrophilia, or anything like that. But it's not straightforwardly safe and harmless either. Whether this strange star adds up to a plus or a minus overall is kind of hard to determine.
I'm not certain.
And there's something else about this companion star that's unique. This star doesn't like knowing that it exists. It doesn't like you knowing that it exists. This Paraphilia wears a mask, and if you've been paying attention, you might be able to guess why. You see, AGP is a kind of Paraphilia that we call...
Don't listen, he's insane!
Never knowing that name is knowledge enough.
Quiet! Silence!
You wouldn't consider it a crime.
But we do.
And that's enough.
The only way these people get on with their happy lives is they do not know about it.
Sir, I don't think that's wise.
If there's one thing I don't need, it's your I don't think that's wise attitude.
Almost there.
Explain who you all really are.
There's a light source ahead!
Get ready to write this down, or type it into your smartphones, or laser etch it into your brain plates, or whatever it is you kids do these days.
It's a star.
This Paraphilia is called... Autogynephilia. You heard me. Autogynephilia.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
What? What'd I say?
What does that mean?
Yeah, I know it's not the most elegant of words. And no, it is not the urge to have sex with cars, although I can see where you got that idea, and it's probably too late now to get that image out of your head. Auto means the self. Gyn means female. And philia means love or desire.
What?
Oh God. Oh God.
There could be a problem.
Put it all together and you get, here it comes, the most important thing in this entire video series.
A vision that tells us that we belong to something that is greater than ourselves, that we are not, that none of us are alone.
The love of oneself as a woman. Or less politely, the erotic desire to make the self female.
Have I got your attention now?
Whoopsie daisy.
This is it, boys and girls and in-betweeners, the big reveal. This is what we've hidden. This is what we've all closed our eyes to. This is what we've refused to admit. This is the science behind 21st century transgenderism.
I have risen again to heal your blindness!
It's time we all opened our eyes and stared it in the face.
Saw it coming.
In the next episode, we time travel back to the 1980s discover the importance of the number 2, and find out about our very own mad scientist. How mad? You'll just have to wait and see. One thing's for sure, it's gonna get weird.
Do you understand the implications?
Do you know what this means? Yes. You don't really, do you?
Not me.
Oh, come on. You're a male. It's just the way you are.
I took my shape from your mind, your deepest thoughts.
It's hot in here.
Your deepest. Yes.
I won't fight much.
How can you, a mere mortal, comprehend what power can wield?
This is what you face.
Our love powered by the energy of the sun.
I am the feminine in your mind.
This is true power.
Power of the mind.
Now I get it.
Welcome to the real world.
Where emptiness had been, new knowledge now seeped inside. Something happened then. I realized that I was not the only one, that there were many others like me, in other places, other universes, fighting the same fight, all to serve the needs of the great ancient.
The all-seeing eye.
I wish I could share that. I wish that everyone, if even for one moment, could feel that awe and humility and hope. But
I don't like it!
I'm seeking enlightenment.
you're a perv. That continues to be my wish.
I'll get the bucket.